Hello everyone and welcome to my review of the first day of testing ahead of the F1 2017 season here on Motorcast. We'll be providing you with daily reviews for all 8 days of testing ahead of the start of the 2017 season, of course, which starts on March the 26th in Australia. That's round 1. Anyway, let's talk about day 1 then of testing, and pretty much Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton were picking up where they left off, with the fastest time for Hamilton a 1:21.765, nearly 2 seconds quicker than the pole position time set at the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix. 73 laps as well for Hamilton. It combines with Valtteri Bottas's 79 laps in, of course, that Mercedes. Really good day for the reigning triple world champions. It looks like that they've made the best start possible to their title defence, of course, aiming for that 4th straight Constructors and Drivers' Championship. Hamilton and Bottas both had a great day. Really no issues to speak of for the two Mercedes. They were even trialling the shark fin and T-wing. They were basically using this as a test, which of course is exactly what you want to do. But of course, as we'll come on to talk about later, some teams weren't even really able to do that. But Mercedes absolutely imperious when it came to reliability today, able to get a huge amount of laps in, not quite matching the 156 total that they managed to set last year on the first day. But considering we've had all these new regulations over the winter, and of course a brand new engine as well, this is very impressive stuff from Mercedes. Their strong reliability has really become a massive trait of theirs over the past couple of years, and it looks set to continue in its 2017. Hamilton, of course, also sporting a new helmet today, which did look very nice. Of course, designed by a fan. It was a fan competition, but it was won by pretty much a professional designer. But still, it does look very nice indeed, and it's good as well because Bottas's helmet does look a bit like a cross between Rosberg and Hamilton's helmet from last year, kind of combination of the two. So I think it's very good that Hamilton switched now to a kind of yellow and red helmet, so it should be pretty easy to tell the two apart, because if he hadn't and stuck with that white helmet that he used in 2016 and 2015, and of course 2014, it might have been quite hard to tell them apart, so I think that's pretty good from a commentator's standpoint. In terms of Bottas's day then, well, he said we did more than a race distance this morning and we had no issues at all, which of course is exactly what you want. Bottas was driving the Mercedes in the morning and Hamilton was driving in the afternoon. Like I said then, overall an absolutely fantastic day for Mercedes. Also having a really good day was Ferrari. Their fastest lap, which was set by Sebastian Vettel in second place, was on the medium compound tyres, and Hamilton's pace setting lap was on the soft tyres. So the slower tyres, but only a 1/10 of the second off Hamilton's pace setting time. So that's a really good start to the season for Sebastian Vettel and Ferrari. Ferrari have been very much under the radar over the winter, and are actually having a press blackout as well until Wednesday, so they won't be speaking to the media until then. Both of their drivers have been banned from doing that. But they've had a pretty quiet winter. No one's really been talking about them in terms of winning the championship this year. But yeah, maybe this could be one of the surprises of this season. You never know. But of course, it was a very similar story last year, and we all know how that turned out. Ferrari were grabbing kind of headline times last year, and really didn't go anywhere. Of course, with 0 wins to speak of last year, but we'll have to see how it goes this year. It certainly started in a very good way, and very few issues. And yeah, also looking really positive for Ferrari, and we'll see Raikkonen in that car tomorrow. Third then on the timesheet was Felipe Massa in his Williams, setting 103 laps. His fastest time was done on the soft tyres, and was just 3/10 shy of Hamilton's lap and 2/10 shy of Vettel in second. So yeah, a really good day for Felipe Massa and for Williams. He did have a spin in the afternoon, but apart from that, there really were very few issues. So yeah, a great start to the season for Massa and for Williams. Mercedes, of course, with that great reliability, and that's kind of transferred through into Williams. Reliability is something Williams have never really struggled for, and it looks like they're pretty much where they were last year. I think it's pretty safe to say. A solid start for them. We'll have to see how they will progress over the next few days, of course. Lance Stroll will be in that car tomorrow, so that'll be pretty interesting to see how he gets on in kind of his kind of F1 debut. I mean, he has driven F1 cars before, but this will be a bit more pressure, and of course ahead of Australia, which of course would be a great deal of pressure, but I'm sure he'll be able to handle it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how his lap times compared to those set by Massa. In 4th place then today was the Haas of Kevin Magnussen. A pretty mixed day really for Haas. They did have a few issues early on. We had to be wheeled down the pit lane back into the garage about 11 AM. But apart from that, it was a decent day. 51 laps, so not quite up there with Ferrari, Williams, and Mercedes. But more laps from the likes of Red Bull and Force India. So overall, I think it has to go down as a pretty successful Haas debut for Kevin Magnussen, of course. This is his third season in Formula 1, and it's with a third different team. So, quite an interesting one for Magnussen. He seems to be settling in pretty well. 122.894 was a lap time for them, so just 1.1 seconds off Hamilton on the same compounded tyres. So, not too bad for Magnussen and for Haas. Danny Ricciardo was 5th. He set his lap time very, very late on, or his fastest lap time very, very late on. 50 laps for him. Not of a great day, really, for Ricciardo and Red Bull. Just 4 laps set in the morning. They had a sensor issue, which pretty much grounded Ricciardo in the garage for the whole of the morning. And then in the afternoon, they had a battery issue, but eventually did manage to get some running done. And then a few interesting comments as well coming out of the kind of Red Bull camp, with Christian Horner saying that the rival teams rejected the shark fin ban, which Red Bull were really pushing for. They didn't want to see the shark fin on the car because, of course, to most people it's a pretty ugly feature really, and not one we want to see on the Formula 1 cars. But of course, a few people do like it, and obviously the other teams opted to keep the shark fin. So there's a few kind of controversies about the T-wing, about the shark fin, about the suspension, and a few of these will probably rumble into Australia, but I can't really see anything really being done about them. Obviously we've seen pretty much every team now trial the shark fin, so we'll have to see how many of them run it in Australia. Mercedes is probably the closest one at the moment, because they did basically a back-to-back comparison today in the morning and the afternoon. I think overall the shark fin doesn't really give a massive benefit. Of course it adds weight to the car, but obviously it would offer some benefit, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't run it on the cars. So it's a bit of a slight gain of it that you get with the shark fin. So really, if they would take that away, I don't think there'd be a major difference to the cars, but like I said, it's probably a bit too late to ban the shark fin now, and as Horner said, of course, it looks like the majority of the teams actually don't mind it. A lot more running in the afternoon for Ricciardo. Managed to get up to 5th on the timesheets. We really haven't seen the best of the Red Bull yet, I don't think. A pretty troubled first day for them, but at least they got 50 laps in, so it wasn't a complete disaster like it was for arguably one of the teams, but we'll come on to them in a minute. 6th then, of course, was Bottas, which I've already mentioned. Good first day for him in Mercedes. I'm sure he'll be very, very happy with the progress made. Sergio Perez, of course, for Force India was 7th fastest. No running out in the afternoon, though, due to an exhaust issue. Got plenty of running done in the morning. 39 laps. Not quite really up there with Williams, though. 103 laps for Massa, but just 39 for Perez. So probably not the best start to the season for that Force India. They took quite a few risks, really, with the aerodynamics on that car, so we'll have to see if they've paid off, or if they're the kind of the bits that are causing the poor reliability. Obviously I said that the exhaust, so maybe a little bit too tightly packaged at the rear of that Force India, but we'll have to see how that progresses. We'll have Esteban Ocon in at that Force India tomorrow. Carlos Sainz Jr. was driving the Toro Rosso today, and he set the 8th quickest time, 1:24.494, 51 laps. That was on the medium tyres. Interesting day really for Toro Rosso. Pretty quiet. They had a few issues, and because they had that issue on the filming day as well with the ERS, so it looks like quite a few of these Renault powered cars are having issues. But still, 51 laps isn't too bad. The monkey seat did fall off as well, which is slightly embarrassing for them in the afternoon, and was deposited on track. It's still quite a way to go for Toro Rosso, I think, but some decent pace shown early on in the session, but really, 1:24.494 isn't too much to really shout about, but of course that's certainly not the extent of their pace. Much more to come from them in the coming days, I am sure. Nico Hülkenberg was 9th in his Renault. He was going with an unpainted black helmet today, which is a fairly strange decision because we've already seen his 2017 helmet, but for whatever reason he was running that. Possibly found a fault with his 2017 helmet, or I don't know, maybe lost it somewhere, and just decided to run with that kind of generic unpainted black helmet. And not that really matters, of course. What really matters, of course, is the time he spent on track and how the car was. And it looked like a pretty mixed day really for Renault. They ran more than Toro Rosso and Red Bull did, but only slightly more. Pace wasn't quite there either. But the Renault looking good on track. I think it'd be hard to judge really where they are, but certainly a fairly quiet, I think, start to their pre-season testing campaign. Expect them to ramp that up in the coming days. 10th then was McLaren of Fernando Alonso. What an interesting day for him. Quite a lot to talk about with Fernando Alonso and McLaren. Definitely probably the biggest story of today was their struggles early on. due to an oil tank issue or an oil leak issue. Apparently, the oil tank is too small and too tight and too light, and that was causing issues for them all morning. Pretty much ruled out any running for them, and they only could really run in the afternoon. And even then, it wasn't until the last couple of hours that Alonso was able to get out there. Just 29 laps. That no one else set fewer laps than Alonso in that McLaren. So a really big shame for him. And was very far off the pace as well, but I can't really read into that too much, of course, with that limited running. 3 seconds off on the same compound tyres as Lewis Hamilton. You can't really say too much about that in terms of pace, but in terms of reliability, it's not good for McLaren. Eric Boullier admitted Alonso was very disappointed. And also, he said that the Honda issues were unexpected. It did seem like a big shock really for McLaren Honda, because although they've been having these reliability issues over the past couple of years, there was a lot of optimism coming into this season, coming into this test. There were big smiles on the face of Alonso and all the teams, and they actually seemed to be genuine optimism around that camp. But this day will definitely be a huge setback for them. But we'll have to see how it goes for them. We've got Stoffel Van Dorn in the car, who'll be making his return to McLaren tomorrow, so that'll be an interesting one. We'll have to see how that McLaren does over the next few days. I mean, if they run fine over the next few days, then this first day disaster will be forgotten, but if this is a sign of things to come, then Alonso and McLaren, I think, will be very worried. So yes, not the best start to the test for McLaren, but it is what it is. Of course, everyone's going to be keep fighting at that team, but clearly I think the friction between McLaren and Honda is very clear. Last on the timesheet was Marcus Ericsson in the Sauber, a 1:26.8, 5 seconds off the pace testing Hamilton. On the medium tyres, 72 laps. Great day for Sauber in terms of reliability. Very few issues to speak of, but that lap time is not very good. Would be an understatement. But I'm not going to read too much into it. If this is a running theme, then this can be a huge worry for Sauber, but I'm not going to say anything about it too much today, because it is a first day. Main thing is they got to do 72 laps, which was only beaten by Mercedes, Williams and Ferrari, so I don't think they can complain too much about that. Overall then, the main takeaways from today: Mercedes looking absolutely dominant in the reliability stakes and have some pretty decent pace to match as well. Ferrari also looking pretty competitive early on. Troubles for Red Bull and particularly for McLaren, and I think that will be the headline for today. McLaren's issues, and particularly of course with that oil leak in the morning, setting them back. And I can't wait to see tomorrow if they can get those issues solved, and if hopefully we'll get a bit more running from Red Bull and we can see where their lap times compare with that of Mercedes and of Ferrari. I think that's pretty much it then for our recap of this first day of testing. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and if you do have any questions about today's first test, then be sure to leave them down below in the comment section. Of course, subscribe to Motorcast here on YouTube and also our Twitter at Motorcast _ for plenty of hopefully tweets. But it might actually be a bit more than linking our videos. I'm going to be trying to put in quite a bit of work into the Twitter account over the next few weeks. Be sure to go and follow us on their quizzes and giveaways and all the such like should be found on there over the coming weeks. I hope you guys have a wonderful day then. I will see you tomorrow for our recap of the second day of testing ahead of the F1 2017 season. Until next time, hope you have a brilliant day. Goodbye.